What's up, man? What's going on? It's Ky Speaks. You feel what I'm saying? Right now, man, really, no weapon is a compilation really of everything, all the wisdom that I done gained in 34 months. In the past 34 months, man, I done gained so much wisdom. It's really crazy. It's amazing, to tell you the truth. You might be asking, what happened 34 months ago, Ky? Well, I'm glad you asked. 34 months ago, that's when I gave my life to Jesus. Now, I grew up going to church. I was religious. I didn't have a relationship with Jesus. I didn't really know Jesus. Strong relationship with him. I didn't have a personal relationship with him. You know, I go to church every now and then. I pray every now and then. I didn't really know who Jesus was. Not really. You know, I knew the basics. He died for our sins. I didn't really know too deep into that. You feel what I'm saying? So 34 months ago, that's when I really got a real relationship with Jesus, and that's when my whole life really started to change. Everything started to really start going amazing for me. And you may ask, you know, what's the difference? That's when you go to church on Sunday, but you live any kind of way during the week. You feel what I'm saying? Oh, I live this way on Sunday, and I do what I want during the week. Religion, that's when you following rules, but your heart's not in it. You see what I'm saying? Religion is when your head there, but your heart ain't. You see what I'm saying? Religion is when you doing things that make it look like you got a relationship with God. You know, it make it look like you God fearing, but your heart ain't there. God's concerned with your heart. What gets you into heaven is confessing by your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believing in your heart that God has raised him from the dead. I'm saying that's Romans 10:9. That's what gets you into heaven. Romans 10:9, Romans chapter 10 verse 9 says, if you confess with your mouth Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God has raised him from the dead, you shall be saved. That's what gets you into heaven. And confess, that means saying Jesus is Lord. Now, I'm not telling you not to go to church now, because church is when you get into the kingdom. That's when you learn about the kingdom of God. You see what I'm saying? If you at a church that really about advancing the kingdom, you know, if you ain't just stuck in tradition. But times change, you see what I'm saying? And to reach a younger generation, to reach anybody else, you're gonna have to change with the times. Not to mention if it bogged down with tradition and he can't relate to it, because them things right there, them ain't things that in the Bible, just that's man tradition. And that way keep a lot of people really away from God, because they following tradition, but they ain't got that close relationship. You know what I mean? Churches, when you around fellow believer, man, it encourage you, man. You know, the Bible tells fellowship with fellow believers, and that's the kingdom, man. See what I'm saying? You get strengthened by being around other believers. And if you really want some true, like, exponential growth, like if you really want real true spiritual growth, man, you go to church, man. You gonna have to go to church. And when I'm talking about a church now, I'm talking about an alive church. You feel me? A church that about advancing the kingdom. A real church with real Christians. I'm talking about a real church with real people. If you're younger, it may be better for you to go to a church with mostly young people or a younger pastor, because they probably gonna be playing music you can relate to more and everything. You see what I'm saying? A lot of people problem with church done been their bad church experiences, or their church experiences don't look like something they want to be a part of. You see what I'm saying? But see, all churches ain't like that. That's why you got to pray to God to lead you to the right church with the right people who love. Because the church I'm at right now, House of Grace in Cochran, Georgia, them folk, man, ain't nothing about them folk boring. Is youth. I'm talking about there's a whole bunch of youth, young people there. It's a whole bunch of people of all ages there. You feel what I'm saying? And they about the kingdom. They about advancing the kingdom. They lively. They ain't dead. They ain't stuck in tradition. When you go to a church, man, make sure the pastor preaching out the Bible. The church I'm at filled with men, mighty men of valor, for real. And they about the kingdom, man. Strong men of God. You feel what I'm saying? And it's like, you know, you have to take a look at these things, man, when you trying to talk to people and relate to people, because everybody done experienced it. Like, if your church experience is like the only people you done see in the church, most of the people at your church are women or older women. The pastor was a man, the deacons were man, but women outnumber them. So some child, you know, some young male, he might be looking at that like, oh man, most of the women here ain't really no men here. This ain't a man thing. Men don't really come to church. You feel what I'm saying? He may be looking at it like that. You know what I mean? You gotta just peep stuff out and just sit back and observe things sometimes. You see what I'm saying? And not to mention, if it's bogged down with tradition and music and stuff he can't relate to, and if he can't understand it, if nobody ain't trying to show that to him, trying to really teach him no knowledge, they ain't really give him no game, you know what I mean? They ain't never impart no wisdom to him, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Ain't nobody explain that to him, explain the Bible to him, what they mean. Ain't nobody put no wisdom to him, ain't nobody put no knowledge to him, ain't nobody sit him down, put him on game, and show him how to apply it in his life, you know what I mean? So you gotta know the Bible, you gotta speak it, man. That's how you gonna advance in life. That's why my life amazing, man, because I spend time with God, I worship God, I know the Bible, I read the Bible, I speak the word. Life and death are in the power of your tongue. Life and death ain't got no power. Your tongue got the power. What you speak come to you, man. What as a man thinketh he is. Both of those in Proverbs, man. That's Proverbs 18 verse 21.